So the book that started this series in my mind was called "Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table," and then I read the book we've been talking about the last 2 weeks called "Winning the War in Your Mind." And as I was reading "Winning the War in Your Mind," I thought, this is a great time to put two books together. And then I got the physical copy of our book, the "Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table," and the subtitle is "It's Time to Start Winning the War in Your Mind." There's a reason things go well together. And the idea of this book came from an experience that Louis Giglio had, and he had maybe had one similar to him. He had one of those hard times in his life where he had some sort of frustration. He had some sort of issue going on, and what made it all the worse was there was a person that kind of existed as the avatar of the hardship of this time, right? You know, we've all been there. Things were said, things were done, he said this, she said that, and blah, blah, blah. And then it just kind of swelled and turned into this really hard scenario in his life. And then this adversary, this person, this villain in his life did the thing. Said something, did something stupid that everybody would go, you all get to go, aha, gotcha. Now you've revealed yourself. Now everybody on earth, especially your enemy, can know exactly how crummy of a person you are. And so he's going, this is it. I win the war. And he texts his friend, he goes, did you see what so-and-so did? Anybody seen those texts before? Let's be honest, anybody seen those texts? And he hit send, and he waited. Now it's your turn to slam dunk on this person. Now it's your turn. And those blinking dots of death go flashing across his phone screen, and he waits. And he waits. He's going, oh my gosh, this guy's writing a tome. It's like a whole book. He's telling me stuff I haven't even learned about this guy yet. He's doing even more. It's going to be amazing. And then those dots keep flashing across the screen, and he waits, and he waits, and he waits, and he starts to get a little nervous. He starts going, what's taking so long? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that much. And he waited, and he waited, and waited, and he got back a text 1 line long, and all it said was, don't give the enemy a seat at your table. I get it, dude. I understand where you are. I understand how frustrating it is. But this is not the way to go. This is not the thing you need to be engaged with. Just live through it. Don't turn it into one of these battles. Don't give the enemy a seat at your table. The way my dad always told me was this: don't give the devil a stick to beat you with. Anybody else got a Southern dad? Anybody? No, okay. Don't give him every chance to just make a mockery of you, right? Like live your life in such a way where you don't open yourself up for shot after shot after shot. Don't give the enemy a seat at your table. Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, it's that, but gossip and just getting into this sort of mud-throwing war is not going to help you through this time, and it's actually a sign that you're actually losing the battle in your mind. You're letting your scenario and your situation dictate where you will go and what you will think and how you will act. So it says, just don't do it. Don't give them a seat at your table. And so when Louis got this text back, his mind exploded. The analogy of a table is a powerful one for us, isn't it? I think it's a powerful one for every civilization in the history of the world. We can use the idea of the table as an illustration in 1,000 different metaphors, and they all make sense. You know what I mean? Like it's just a powerful one. And his brain started making connections and going around and thinking about all these things, and it led him to our passage today, Psalm 23. But as I was thinking about table, like what does it mean to give someone a spot at your table? What could that mean? Well, for example, communion we just had, that's called the Lord's table. A moment where God has welcomed us to come to Him. At the beginning of the year, we did a series through Nehemiah where we talked about our theme for the year, which is finding your place in God's story. And I read a book connected to that called Hero on a Journey by Donald Miller. And one of the things he said to do was write a eulogy. Write the eulogy you want to be true of yourself when you die. When you're people at your funeral, what do you want them to say about you? And here's how I actually did the process, because I had to preach about it, so I had to actually do what I was talking about. And so I wrote a eulogy, and here's how I ended it. The very end of it says this: they built a home with an open door and an open table, where friends and family often came to visit. And at that table, you could always find a hot cup of coffee, friendship, and shelves of books. That I'm thinking through, what do I want my life to be like, remembered as? And one of the things that came plopping into my mind was the nature of the table I have at my house. Because it's just a big idea. I wasn't thinking about it because we were planning for this series. It just is a big idea that we all kind of understand. Now, I'm in a group through a ministry called Covenant Connections, and one of my dad's best friends who passed away earlier this year kind of spearheaded and developed this thing, and it started off as a ministry to pastors who very often pastors don't have any close friends. And so it's a way to help them get connected and help them share their soul with each other. And so I have a covenant group that I meet with twice a year and I talk to once a month. And it's all based on this book called Soul Strength, Rhythms for Thriving. Is a book that Alan wrote, who's a family friend of ours. And he came up with this idea called the table of influence. He says, you need to figure out who sits at your table of influence. And so he put a picture like this. He said, in the very middle, you have confidants. These are the closest people in your life. People you can share everything with. You can go as deep as you need to go with these people. These are the people that are your closest friends, and you have a rich relationship with these people, and you don't have to hide anything from these people. And then you have other kinds of influences in your life. You have a work chair. You have people at your work or people who work in the same industry as you do, and these people sharpen you. You see how they're doing at their work. You see how they pull things off of their work, and you go, I got to kick it up a notch. I got to kick this thing into gear. Like I'm inspired by these people, and I want to be better at what I do based on what I see them doing at their work. These are work relationships you have, and then you have a wisdom chair. These are people that deepen you. You ever have these people? They read better books than you read. You know what I mean? All my books are like, how do I do things better in my day-to-day life? And they're like reading literature and poetry. And they read Russian novels, right? Michael reads Russian novels just for fun. And they always come up with these quotes. And you go, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for being you. Because I would never have found that. And they deepen you. They're your wisdom chair. And then you have people who sit in your well-being chair. These are the people that enrich you. They bless you. They happily share resources with you, and they share their hearts and their homes and their good humor with you. And these are the people that are fun to be around. They want you to. They just want to be good to you. You know what I mean? These are the people who are in your well-being chair, and then in the woo chair, WOO. It means winning others over. These are the people that introduce you to other people that will be good for you. I got a friend in my covenant group who does. This is how he is, man. In the last 6 months, I've gotten 4 or 5 calls or text messages going, "Hey, Garrett, I got a name for you. Just call him. I don't know what it'll have, but here's a name, here's a number. Let's just, whatever." And I go, okay, I'll give them a call. And that's what he does. He wants to connect people with others. And you got to be able to, and Alan did a bit of a disservice by putting 3 lines in the picture because it doesn't have to be just 3 or all the way to 3 or whatever. But you should put some thought into it. Who are these people in your life? Because Alan calls these people your sacred allies. In a life filled with people that are draining to you, you need some sacred allies. And here's some questions you can ask yourself that Alan, here's this from the book. He says this: who are your sacred allies? Your soul-enriching friends. Here are 7 clues to help you identify them. Who breathes life into me rather than sucks life out of me? Who challenged me spiritually? Who sharpens me mentally? Who is a friend of my excitement? Who makes me laugh? Who can keep a confidence? Who leaves me feeling more alive? It's worth thinking about because, as Alan Ogrum says, your life will never be any richer than your relationships. The people you put at the table around you. And do you know who's one person that should never find any spot and any chair around this table of influence in your life? The enemy. The devil. The guy that's constantly whispering lies in your ears. The guy that's prowling around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Like, he should be kept far away from this table. And if you start putting him in charge of your work chair, what are you going to be? Are you going to become just a confident, competent person who's good at your job, or are you going to become a cutthroat and a cheat? Right? Never find a corner you weren't willing to cut. If you put him in charge of your wisdom chair, are you going to start getting good advice for your life, or are you going to start becoming more selfish and thinking about yourself all the time? If you put him in charge of your woo chair, do you want him connecting you to the people in your life? Because you and I have all been through life long enough to where we had a moment in our life where we were just aimless enough, just lost enough, and then that worst person we possibly could have met came and just showed up. We've all been there, right? And you're going, man, what could have been different if I just didn't cross paths right then? Don't put the devil in charge of your woo chair, your chair that connects you with other people. He should be kept far away from the seats of your table of influence. Because here's what the Bible says: do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And then there's this final thing that my friend Alan, you can take that picture down, that Alan did not put in there. Is a picture that comes from the Psalm 23 that is the one image that most of us don't even spend any time on when we think about Psalm 23, because we don't really know what to do with it. The image of the shepherd's table. There's a seat at the table of your influence that has to do with your relationship with God. And it's in Psalm 23, when we read some of the most familiar words of all of Scripture. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. We hear of this relationship that God has with us and we have with God of providing and care and guidance. And we just hear of how He works in us and He loves us. He says, He makes me lay down in green pastures and He leads me beside still waters. And He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake. And even though I walk in the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. My cup overflows. I love that line. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It is a beautiful experience, a beautiful expression of God's love for us and our relationship with God. And as we read it, we just hear, oh, the things that I have from God are so good. They're so powerful that my cup overflows. I can't hold it all in. It goes splashing into the world around me. And then when we think about it, we think, man, if this is true, surely being a Christian is a giant bed of roses. Right? Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. If God is going to be real, certainly He's figured out the whole thing about how to fix hard things. He certainly has figured out easy street, right? Hasn't He figured out to where the whole thing will be the easiest thing we've ever done in our entire lives? And no one in the room's nodding along, right? Because to quote the Princess Bride, not remotely. It's a deep track, but it's in there. You know it. Because the Christian life is not anywhere close to being a bed of roses. It is not anywhere close to promising easy street. It is not anything close to any of that. In fact, Psalm 23 says, even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we go through the darkest valley. We're not avoiding that bad boy. We're not skirting around the edges. We're not taking the scenic route. No, sometimes we're going straight through the darkest valley. But we don't have to fear evil because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Tammy, when she heard we were doing this, she went and read the book and said it was awesome, so if you should do it as well. And I said, okay, well, what were some of your big takeaways? What was it? And she said this. She said, the image of the rod and the staff. That was, the staff is there to pull us out of the situations we walk into, and the rod is there to protect us from dangers around us. That those two things are there as a comfort for us. And then we get this fascinating image that David says, and I don't know, we've never really known what to do with it, or maybe some people have, I haven't. It says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Right in the middle of them. They're all around. It doesn't say that he's going to remove us and put us into this little gated area and we're going to have, you will be safe and I will protect you here. Because very often if you're a sheep, where's the food? Where's the green pasture? It's out there. Surrounded by wolves. Like you have to go in towards the wolves and the wolves will be there and the shepherd's going to stand there. You're going to eat the food and he's going to stand there keeping watch, making sure the wolves don't come in. But in the presence of the enemies, in the presence of the hardship, in the middle of the valley, he is standing there preparing a table for you and for me. And at this table, he says, come on in. Sit down. The table is actually a very powerful image of what the Christian life is. Why we spend so much time talking about that Christianity is a relationship between us and Jesus Christ. Because he creates this spread. He feeds us. He provides for us. He has this acceptance and love and the Word of God, his scriptures, the Bible, right? All this stuff that he has ready for us. He says, come and sit with me. I have everything ready for you. And our response as Christians is supposed to be like that of the boy who doesn't know he doesn't fit in there. He doesn't know how nice of a thing that he's just been offered. He doesn't know he's not supposed to take everything that was offered to him. Oh, sure, I'll have the wings, and I'll have the chips, and can I have a refill of Dr. Pepper, please? Thank you. And you just start eating and all. And the boy that doesn't know he shouldn't have done that. And all the more sophisticated people around the table are going, dude, you know you're not supposed to just go take everything, even though you said have whatever you want. You're not supposed to do that. And the host is going, no, I meant it. Take everything I'm offering. It's all available to you. That's the Christian response to Jesus, is that there's a king, there's a shepherd who says, I've made a table for you, and come and be completely here with me. I have prepared a table for you so that I can be with you. And you can be with me. And we can have a relationship together. This is something that Christians often talk about called quiet time. A prepared and a specific time of day where we get quiet, we open up the scripture, we read whatever amount is helpful to us, whatever we like to do. Some people like to read the whole Bible in a year. Some people like to find a verse that helps them for the day. Whatever it is, and then you spend some time in prayer, and you spend some time in quiet, and you want to see, maybe God will say something to me, or maybe in this time of just reflection, something will be made clear to me so I can move throughout my day, and we have a quiet time, coming to the table with Jesus, and diving in, and taking all that's been offered to us. But what do we normally do when we get invited to the nice table, the nice spread, the nice setup? Super cool. It looks delicious. Let me just get my phone out real quick. And hey, can you put your flashlight on so I can get perfect lighting? Okay. And don't worry, Jesus. I'm gonna give you. You're gonna be in the caption. It's gonna be time with Jesus, and this meal is great. And we're gonna take a picture of our food, and we're gonna be like, "This is awesome." And now I'm gonna put it on social media so everybody knows I had my time with Jesus, but I actually maybe never really actually got to where I was actually with Jesus. And we're going, well, my Bible's set perfectly this way, and I have my cup of coffee so they know I have a good taste and over this, and all that sort of stuff. And then we spend so much time trying to show the rest of the world that we had this time with Jesus that we haven't actually spent the time with Jesus. And he goes, no. You need to come and partake in the table and experience my goodness to such a degree that your cup starts to overflow. And you go, wow, I can't get to the depths. I can't get to the depths of God's grace and love for me. And very often, when we are flippant with our time with Jesus, here's one. How about this? Maybe it's not. I'm not always putting pictures on Instagram about my Bible study time. Here's one that pastors struggle with a lot. What do I do with the fact that most of my Bible reading has to do with the preaching and teaching I do around the church? Is that quiet time? Is that me in time with Jesus, or am I just trying to get my job done? Pastors struggle with that. We talk about it at lunch. We go, what do we do? How do you handle that? How do you handle that? How do we handle this sense of not trying to be just flippant with Jesus and digging into what he has for us? Because here's the deal. If we are being flippant with our time at the table with Jesus, we're being flippant with our relationship with Jesus. And that puts us in a spot where somebody gets a chance to come moseying up and grabbing a seat at our table that was never supposed to be there. You know, there's a word that I would say fits the devil perfectly, and it's called shameless. There is no low that he's not afraid to go beneath. There is no place that he's not too respectful to degrade. You know, the Bible starts in the Garden of Eden, and the devil walks in the Garden of Eden and goes, he's in paradise, and goes, is this it? Did God really say you don't, this is it? Like, this is what God gave you, and you're happy with that? And they're like, well, I guess, I don't know. Well, there's nothing he won't talk crap about. There's nothing he won't shame. There's nothing he won't be like, hey, you know what? He's not going to wait for your kids, by the way. He's not going to wait for your kids to have some developmental maturity before he starts tempting them, and starts going after them. He's going, if I can get these kids while they're young, man, I'll have them forever. There's nothing too shameful for him. He will go for anything. He'll walk up to your table with Jesus and go, hey, I'll eat some of that food. That sounds great. Oh, this is great, you know what I mean? I'll be right there in the middle of all of it with you. That sounds wonderful to me. And do you know what happens when he plops down next to you at your table? It would be really nice. It'd be really nice if what he did was he'd walk in and go, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Wouldn't it be cool if we just stopped believing in Jesus altogether? But he doesn't do that. That'd be too obvious. What does he do? He sits down, puts his elbows on the counter, he starts eating the breadsticks, whatever. He goes, hey, what's up? How you doing? Is your boss still a jerk? Yeah. It's just a rule. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just a rule. Only dumb people get promoted in this world. It's everyone I know, it's got a dumb idiot who's in charge of them, but it's just a rule. Only idiots get promoted in this world. I know. Look, man, I get it. You're doing everything right, and the world just doesn't care. I get it. Your wife's still harping on you all the time? Yeah, right? Yeah. She's okay. It doesn't stop, does it? I get it. Yeah. Your husband's just a jerk. I get it. I mean, some things just aren't going to change. You know what I mean? Like, so, listen, I'll just say this because I have a lot of respect for you. If I was in your spot, I would have been out of there like a long time ago. Like, you're like a really noble person for hanging in as long as you have. But maybe things aren't going to change. So, has anybody ever had these sort of thoughts flashing through their mind? We might have the enemy sitting at our table. And he's not going to come in there and just say, hey, why don't you just throw away everything? But he will say things like, hey, just go have a conversation about this or whatever. Just go talk. Just try it. Maybe it'll be right. Maybe it'll feel good. You deserve it. You've sacrificed in all these ways over here. This is your area. Here are 5 lies to look out for. See if you have the enemy sitting at your table. It's better at the other table. Anybody ever feel just an overwhelming temptation? Be like, you know what? Maybe I should just leave all this and go try it again over here, and maybe I'll find a good group of people for once in my life. Oh, all my work, it's my workplace's problem. I'll just go over here and it'll be better over here, or it's my just living situation. Maybe if I just restarted everything over there by myself, I could get it better that way. Or it's just, no, it's a lie. He's saying the grass is greener over there. People have been buying that lie for forever. But it's a lie that goes on and on and on. What about this one? You're not good enough. Your mistakes define you. That mistake was the end of it. Like, you don't get to come back from that mistake. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. You don't have the skill set to do this. You're not going to be able to do it. Here's another lie. You're not going to make it. This is just too hard. Sometimes the randomness it overtakes us and we can't handle it. Have you ever had those times in your life where your friend goes, hey man, how you doing? And you just go, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, things are good, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know how we're going to make it. I don't know what we're going to do. I heard Louis Giglio say this. There is not one time in the history of the world with any person in the history of the world where God showed up to him and said, well, I don't know, dude, this is a bad one. I don't know. I don't think we're going to make it through this, guys. Like, maybe y'all should take the lead because I don't have any more answers out here. That God's never said that. That God's never been like, hey, this valley's actually a little too deep, so you're going to have to go it alone. God's never said that. So when we do say it, we do walk around going, there doesn't seem to be an answer to this. We're not going to make this. We're not going to make it through. All that sorts of, those are lies from the devil. They're not your father. They're not your shepherd talking to you who says, come on, we're going to go through the valley. We're going to go through the valley in the presence of your enemies, in the presence of your hardships. We're going to have a meal together. And we're going to make it to the other side. That's the voice of your father talking. The one that says, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to get through this. I don't know what to do next. That's something else. But it's not God. And it's a lie to look out for. Here's another one similar. I'm surrounded and there's no way out. I've just cornered myself. I don't know what to do next. And here's a big one. Everybody's against me. You ever felt that? My family's, they're just against me. The people at that workplace, they were against me. So I had to go find a new workplace. And these places there, everybody's against me here too. She said, everybody's against me. I don't know. It's just hard. I don't know what it is. I'm unlucky Harvey, I guess. I don't know. Everyone's against me. And then you go to a new spot, and somehow you found the exact same character there too. Everyone's against me here too. And maybe it's just a mindset thing that we've got going on. And the longer we sit here, by the way, if you hear any of those lies in your life, you've got the enemy sitting at your table. And he's eating your lunch. He's convincing you what you are and are not allowed to think. He's sitting there making you buy his lies all over again. And the strongholds in our minds that we've spent the last 2 weeks learning how to demolish, he's sitting there at your table, brick by brick, building it back up. Lie by lie, pity party by pity party, complaint by complaint. And the longer we sit through them, the more he's getting a foothold in our lives again. And God says, don't you give him a seat. We're in charge of the table of influence in our lives. We're in charge of that. And the devil goes around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. And if we let him sit there and he just exists at our table, then we are putting ourselves in a position to get eaten alive. This is why a key verse in what it means to live out the Christian life is Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. Do not get crumpled up. Do not get scrunched in. Don't get contorted and jammed in there. Don't conform to the pattern of this world anymore. But what? But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be changed entirely. Have a different frame altogether so you can no longer be like that. And how do we do it? By renewing our minds, by winning the battle in our minds. Don't conform. Don't get bundled up, but be transformed. And so when those lies do start coming back to us, and they do show up again, we can say, sorry, I don't believe those lies anymore, because I don't think that way anymore. Sorry, I don't go down those rabbit holes anymore, because I don't think the way I used to. Sorry, I don't date people like you anymore, because I don't think that way anymore. Sorry, I don't get all defeated and bent out of shape all the time anymore because I don't think that way anymore. I've been transformed into a new way by living into the life of Christ by the renewing of my mind. And I'm not going to give just anybody a seat at my table. And I'm certainly not going to give the devil a seat at my table. Because I have a Savior and I have a shepherd who's the King of the universe. And in the presence of my hardships, in the presence of the deepest valleys, in the presence of my enemies even, he has prepared a table for me, and I'm going to live my life fully for him. I used to be that person. That trick would have gotten me before, but it's not getting me this time. One of the rules we started out with is this. Name the destructive lies that we believe and then name the truth that destroys them. And as we live out our lives as Christians and we start to notice the lies, that you're not good enough, you're not going to make it, it's better at the other table, there's no way out, everybody's against. When we start hearing these lies and calling them out for what they are, they stop having the authority in our lives that they used to have. And we can start winning the battle in our minds.